It is so good to have you aboard with me. Once again, we are taking another look at the mechanics of MLB The Show. Today, we're going to be finishing up the pitching side, taking care of Classic and Pulse. I'm putting both of these together because they're the two that I think have the least amount of control over what you're doing. They're the ones that have the most randomness, if you will, to them. And so for the most part, it's not something I would recommend from a competitive standpoint to use, but I still want to break them down for new people or anybody who's wondering what these kind of look like. So very easy, quick breakdown on that. So we'll kind of go through Classic first, and then we'll talk about Pulse pitching. This is like the third or fourth time I've had to record this video because either I've had audio issues or I just did a whole take a second ago and I wasn't even recording. So you're following a pro YouTuber, folks. All right, with that being said, let's get underway. Okay, so I've got Trevor Bauer on the mound, not that it really matters, but we're gonna start with Classic pitching and we'll go from there. Classic pitching is about as easy as it gets. It's pretty point and shoot. Whatever button you press, you should be using that same button to pitch. You don't have to do that. You can use X or A or whatever console you're playing this on, hopefully in the future. And you'll be able to pitch the ball, but if you want the most control, you should be using the same pitch that you selected it with, the same button that you selected it with, and I'll show you why here in a second. So of course, these mechanics that I'm doing throughout this entire mechanical breakdown, they work for any of the videos, or any of the games. So if you're playing MLB The Show 19 somehow, or for some reason, or if you're playing MLB The Show 21, 22, or 23, unless there are some major mechanical changes, these will all stay the same. So the other mechanical videos are in the description below, so check those out. But otherwise, for the most part, these should transfer year to year. If for whatever reason they update anything, I will have updated video links in the description below as well. So like I said, Classic's very point and shoot. So we'll take a fastball here, and I'm going to show you two things. If you locate a fastball, let's say you just put it right down the middle and you just tap it. If you just tap the button that you pressed, you'll throw it in at the more controlled lower velocity that the pitcher has. So in this case, 94, 95 from Trevor Bauer. If I take that same pitch and I hold it down and fire it in, it's not going to be as accurate as you can see, but it'll come in a little bit hotter. So it'll come in at 96, 97. You can see this Trevor Bauer's energy is a little bit lower. Like I said, I had been doing a couple takes on this, but it's still the same. So if I put a fastball down here and I just lightly tap it, it's going to come in at 94, 95. And if I throw and press and hold the fastball button, it'll come in a little bit quicker. So it's the same as far as meter and analog go for controlling pitch speed, but at the end of the day, it's not something I recommend because as you can see, I can throw a pitch right down the middle and it'll go all the way up, or it'll go anywhere you want, and I don't have nearly the same control over it as I would in something like pure analog. So definitely something to keep in mind with that, or even meter. You've got way more control over meter as well. Definitely something to kind of keep in mind there. So that's the basic Classic breakdown of how this works. I'll show you one more time. I'll show you with the breaking ball. Just a light tap there gets me at about the close to 80 miles an hour. If I press and hold the button, it comes in at 81, so a few miles an hour sooner, and the brake's a little bit more drastic, but I can't control it as well. So that's kind of how that generally works. It's the same in that regard, but you rely way more heavily on pitcher attributes. So if you're not using a good pitcher and they've got a good hitter at the plate, it's going to be very difficult to locate, and you're probably going to get hit pretty hard. It's all right for offline mode, but you're going to probably need to lower the difficulty a bit or raise some of the sliders if you're trying to use it kind of in an effective, lazy manner just to kind of mess around, or if you're somebody who likes to play franchise sims and stuff like that. So it can be useful for that kind of thing. Even mindless grinding occasionally, although I still struggle with it in that regard. But regardless, it still has its place in the game. Okay, let's take a look at Pulse pitching now. What we'll do is there's two different meter displays. There's Classic and Default. I'll start you off with Classic and then we'll switch to Default. You'll just see the difference between the feedbacks and everything like that. Pulse pitching though, it doesn't seem like I'm able to control the pitch speed in the same way. the way pulse works is as the circle gets smaller, that's where you want to release it. You want to release it as close to the ball as possible for the most accurate pitch. Wherever the little circle is anywhere that pitch could end up. So you can see why you may run into trouble at some point with that. So we'll try and put one down and away here. And I was just a little late. You can see that circle opened up. So it's going to go anywhere in that circle zone. And I think that's probably the biggest downside to pulse is you've got to be very accurate with it. And there's a good timing one. So there's a small window where it'll go and it's a little bit more accurate, as you can see there. So that's kind of how that works in a very basic sense. I'll show you with a breaking ball as well. And breaking balls, you really don't want to miss time because the circle gets huge and you can hang it just like that. And that may not look like a hanger. It's a solid pitch in real life, but in this video game, that pitch is probably getting hit somewhere down the left field line, or he may pull that into the gap for a double or something like that. So let's take a quick look at the default pitching display. And as you can see here, it's just the same thing, but with a different looking circle. I wouldn't say either one's worse. If anything, you can see the coding when you finally do finish your timing, it switches it back to classic. You see how it has the little circles and the little dashes on the outside there. So at the end of the day, you almost wonder if the game was made to just be classic. They don't put a ton of development into these two particular pitching methods because they're not, I guess, they're not good for the competitive meta or for the competitive play in general. And I think that's kind of what hurts them and what makes it not something the devs want to focus on. The devs for this game, they tend to, and of course devs mean developer, but for the most part, they tend to want to focus the game around high level play. They focus around online play, and these aren't things that get used in online very much. So they don't pour a ton of time into them. So for that reason as well, we won't be spending a ton of time on them. And that's just generally the basic breakdown of them from a mechanical level. That's how they work. That's what this is for. If you're a new player or anything like that, that's what this is for. If I missed something, leave it in the comments below. If you want to catch me on one of my streams and talk about any of the stuff you see here, or if I missed something and you want to bring it up, you have questions, anything like that, you can catch me on Twitch. And we can talk about it if I'm playing custom leagues, BR, rank seasons, if I'm in a tournament. It doesn't matter. I will make time and talk things to you. I will answer questions. If I'm in a very competitive game, I'll just let you know to hold on. And as soon as I get a chance, I will start talking about it. So, but with that being said, in this case, and finally, I'll be signing off with happy pitching. I'm not a big pitcher myself. I don't like pitching. We're going to hitting next. So you keep on the lookout for that. But thank you guys all so much for watching these videos. I appreciate you, and happy pitching.